Hello, denizens. One of the most requested green light or not blasts from the past, the legendary sci-fi epic Firefly. The pilot is called Serenity. If you have never watched the show, there will be spoilers. The show first aired on Fox back in 2002. However, Fox aired only 11 of the 14 produced Firefly episodes before canceling the series in December of 2002. This pilot was actually shown as the final episode, in two parts, in December. The remaining 3 were eventually aired later on other networks or released as part of the complete series DVD box set, where the show found massive success with fans watching the episodes in their intended order. But we're just going to do the things the way the Fox execs first saw it. Maybe there's a reason they chose not to make this the first episode. Number 1 of my green light or not topics is easily understood and engaging premise. Firefly is a science fiction western series set in the year 2517, following the adventures of a crew of smugglers on the spaceship Serenity as they struggle to survive on the fringes of a star system ruled by an authoritarian government called the Alliance. While it's easy to recognize the influences such as Cowboy Bebop, I wouldn't say it was at all similar to Farscape or Blake's 7. I'm giving this a 7 out of 10. Number 2 is unique characters. Joss Whedon, writer-director, has nicely carved out a whole bunch of clearly defined characters, each with clearly defined motivations. Captain Malcolm, the leader and cynical war veteran; Zoe, Malcolm's battle-hardened right-hand person; Hoban, the Firefly's trusty pilot; Jane, the muscle with a brain of concrete; Kaylee, the engineer who's smarter than any guy; Inara, the ship's courtesan. There are more, and that's my problem. And it's a serious one. There are too damn many more characters. The last green light or not I did was X-Files, which ostensibly had only 2 main characters. And now we jump to 9. I like most of these people, but why it didn't start with the core 5 or 6, I have no idea. The pilot has a broadcast runtime of 2 hours. This was Whedon's plan, and add to that all the world building that needed to be done, which I'll get to later. They could have picked up the remaining characters in subsequent episodes and actually wrote the episodes around them. I don't know why they did. I wasn't involved in the show. I'm giving this 7 out of 10 because, it's a mess. Next is casting. For the most part, I'm buying the choices. Nathan Fillion is charismatic in his role. Tudyk, Slate, Baccarin, Baldwin are fine. I like the idea of Baldwin's Jane Cobb, but the character is so insubordinate. I would have told HR to fire him. That's a writing problem, not a casting one. Ron Glass was an especially inspired bit of casting. Loved him in it. It didn't hurt that all the women are attractive, especially Baccarin, but I did have a problem with Gina Torres. For me, at least, she had no chemistry with Fillion, and I didn't buy her relationship with Tudyk. They are married in the show. Torres was unconvincing as the tough-as-nails military character. 7 out of 10. Home base is a slam dunk. It's the Serenity. Need I say more? For those new to my green light or not videos, home base is part of the equilibrium equation, which I'll talk about later. And a location can also be a character. Miami has a palpable influence on Miami Vice, the police station in Barney Miller, the newsroom in Mary Tyler Moore, Beverly Hills and the Beverly Hillbillies were essential to the stories. 10 out of 10. Now we come to the big one. Great story, well written. I have to be completely honest, but this show is a mess. It tries to do too much. The opening battle between the Independents, which featured Malcolm and Zoe fighting the Alliance, which were Empire-ish, was confusing. Then we get a graphic 6 years later, and voila, we're on the Serenity. We meet the core crew on an illegal salvage mission. Yes, the Alliance has made unregulated salvaging illegal. That's really exciting. But the problem for me was I kept thinking, who cares? It had no gravitas, no matter how much they talked about how high the stakes were. Through the series, they also did gun running, trading illegal medicines, exotic goods, stolen valuables, bounty hunting, hustling and cheating, espionage. Any of those would have been more interesting than what they had in the pilot, unfortunately. The dialogue is clunky. Joss didn't quite have the space jargon merged with the cowboy shtick down yet, though I will give him credit for making up original slang so it didn't sound modern day. That was clearly a conscious decision. The confrontational dialogue on the Firefly seemed forced for the sake of confrontation, especially the moment when Malcolm calls Inara a whore. It was meant to infer history between them, but I found it jarring and uncomfortably out of character. Then the juggling of so many characters, including the outer world bad guys and gals, made this really a tough watch. Even though I could tell the germ of the idea was good, the execution was not where I would have hoped it would be. As I said earlier, it would have been better to just make it an hour, establish the world and the core team first. I hate to say it, but I'm giving this a 5 out of 10. It never really got off the ground. Over to production values. Here the show was a mixed bag. The big opening battle was thoroughly unconvincing, not well shot, couldn't really tell the difference between the two sides. At least Star Wars had white stormtroopers. It was expansive, had silly explosions. It looked cheap. I will say the CG effects of the Serenity and other space vessels were uniformly good. The interior of the Serenity was hit and miss. It was intended to be a rust bucket of a transport ship. It looked like it was decorated with recycled Bombay Company furniture cast-offs. But apart from the flight deck and the engine bay, it didn't give much in the way of a sci-fi spaceship gear porn feel. I couldn't stop thinking that I was looking at a soundstage. The outdoor sequences were well populated with citizens. There were multiple locations. Overall, this was obviously an expensive show. It just didn't look it. 5 out of 10. Now to Equilibrium. Does the show return to its original state, which includes character relationships and the precarious financial situation that keeps them hunting for the next big score? I wouldn't want the show to end in failure each time, but the wins can't be so big as to change their situation too much. The answer looks to be yes. 8 out of 10. Number 8 is longevity. With the number of characters and the galaxy at their disposal, there is no reason why Firefly could not maintain interest into year 5 and beyond. Maybe the ship could get an upgrade. 7 out of 10. The production team, executive Joss Whedon, best known for Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Angel, was joined by Ben Edlund, famous for creating The Tick and many other well-known shows. Brett Matthews has worked with Joss on Buffy as well as Angel. It's a fine team. 8 out of 10. And finally, number 10, do I want to watch the next episode? I can't say that I do. It lacked the sharp writing of Buffy, The characters are struggling to connect with each other. There's too many characters. It was Whedon who wanted the 2-hour intro movie to better explain the characters and the world. It clearly didn't work because the Fox execs asked for the episode called The Train Job to be the first aired. It was a much better episode, but had some issues because it missed the backstory of the pilot. Still, my job here at Greenlight or Not is to judge the pilot. And as far as watching the next episode, I'm not really that excited. And I'm usually a sucker for these kinds of shows. 5 out of 10. The total score comes to 69 out of 100. That's a passing grade. I think it reflects the problems the show has. The cast is fine for the most part. Nathan is expected to carry it. It's a fun idea. Do I have confidence that Joss and his team can fix the problems in the pilot? There are many, and there is the issue, the elephant in the room, and that is budget. This isn't Married with Children. All sorts of planets have to be realized, more costly CGI special effects in every show. If I was working for Fox at the time, I would not greenlight Firefly. I know that's heresy. There you go. And having seen the charmless big comeback movie version called Serenity, using my 2020 hindsight machine, I think that was the right decision. Of course, I would love to hear your opinions. If you disagree with me, you're wrong. Till next time, denizens, be seeing you.